Excited. It's Coach Sandra, the compassionate queen of straight talk, and it is Friday, and my Fridays are now, as often as possible, an interview. And I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled, to meet with Frank Soonius. He's in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. And I was married to a Dutchman, and I was in a Dutch family for many years. So I know you can tell a Dutchman, and you just can't tell him much. I'll be good, but not too good. Anyhow, it's an absolute delight, Frank, for us to be connecting. And we were just chuckling before we got started, and then we'll get you to introduce yourself. But we were just chuckling about how easy it is just to be ourselves. What a relief life is when we give up all the BS and just be ourselves. Just be ourselves, authentic. You wrote the book, Trapped in a Dream. And that starts out with, will your last words be, if only I had? And I hope that sets our tone for this conversation. So Frank, just a little introduction. Who are you? And don't give away the good stuff because we're moving into that. Welcome,
Of
Frank.
course, of course. I'm Frank Soonius. I was born in Amsterdam. Um, yeah, what can I tell about Frank Soonius? He had a long way to find out that being himself is good enough to be in this world and have a voice in this world. And well, some people have a shortcut, but I didn't do the shortcut. That's why I wrote the book Trapped in a Dream, because I think there is a shortcut. But I had no Frank Soonius, and there was no book then, and so I had to figure it out all myself, and I did, and I'm proud to be here with you, Sandra, and yeah,
It's
excited.
amazing, isn't it? And I bet you were a little kid once upon a time too, huh?
I can't believe it, but I still feel him because he's still inside me, and he still wants to play, Sandra. He
And
still wants
that's the
to play.
beauty. I was so long swallowing my voice. I've discovered this word because one day it just came out that I had swallowed my voice. This precious little girl who I was. And I just wanted to be, I just wanted to be. And everybody was kind of giving you a little smack here and there, fit you into a box. And my box just wasn't very comfortable. I was never beaten, nothing of that kind. Actually, I can look back and say I had lots of fresh air and lived on the farm in a lovely community. All of us were broke, so we didn't know we were poor. We just didn't have any money, but we had fresh vegetables and our meat was on the hoof. And, we didn't know. We just didn't have any money. And I wouldn't be surprised you were a little kid that was about the same. Whatever. The little
Yeah,
kid
I was the
there.
same, but I was lucky. I think I was lucky because my father was financial director of one of the biggest food companies in the world.
Oh,
So yeah. You think you have a beautiful childhood, but guess what? It was not beautiful at all. I had everything in the world what a little boy wants, but the only thing I really wanted, I didn't have, and and that's so important. And
that love. That love.
that's the only word that
Yeah.
counts.
I'm
I believe.
introducing it early on because I'm the very same, when we have our hurts that we bring from our childhood. I remember once that my sister and we had carried this burden, my sister more than I, but because of my sister, I always knew that I had an older sister. So mom's first baby died 6 days old. And that forever changed my mother. I'm sure my father too, but we happened to be more into the woman's side. That changed our mother, but we never understood that. So we always had this like, why can't we have those hugs and feel that love? We knew they loved us, but we didn't have what we needed inside, which is a challenge. And after she was in the nursing home, and she was 88 when she went there, so she was probably 88, 89, 90. We took her to a friend who did a bit of a seance, which turned out to be let's light a candle to the baby. And just remember baby Jacqueline. And mom, she started just talking. And she said, oh, she was such a pretty little thing, the curly blonde hair and the beautiful, just beautiful. and she died. And that's why I couldn't love the rest of you, couldn't hold the rest of you. Well, I looked at my sister, and I don't know about what I did, but I could look at my sister and see the weight of the world fall off her shoulders about why what we were needing and wanting the most couldn't be provided. And in that moment, you can forgive it all. It's interesting. And you would have had, it's not my story, I should shut up now. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction here, because in the article, if you read that, we're looking at, do you know anybody? We know who we were. We were dissatisfied with the life they're living, and learning to create a life they want to live. Everybody can do that. We really can. Both of us can walk people through it just in our own styles. That's what we do now. You can have those shortcuts, not have to take all the detours that we took. Frank and I, you and I both call this resetting the mindset. I use mind shift. You use mindset, but it's all the same thing, like doing something with this mind and say, let's put it over here. And today, the thing is prison. I've been going to prison for 17 years. And whenever I drop that in, people say, what? And the inmates say, what? You were in prison? Your sisters are in prison? No, I just visited, so I can still go. But your story, Frank, is a different prison story.
I think it is.
I think so. And
I hope for you.
Why.
I hope for you that it is.
I am so anxious to hear your prison story. And I know that's not all there is to Frank. We're going to be having more interviews in the future. But today I wanted to talk about prison, my prison experience of going in. And I have a certificate that's one of my favorite certificates. I was in prison and you visited me. The people that go to prison are forgotten. And we don't.
I did only 4 years and 3 months, so that's compared to you. That's not so bad.
You were what?
I was only for 4 years and 3 months in prison, so that's not that bad.
Can you tell us a little bit about why did you go to prison? Like, how did you earn your way? I always tease the inmates and they get quite back at me. I said, whatever you did to earn your way in here, we didn't earn it. So what's your story, Frank?
Well, it's really easy, but I came to the airport and my suitcase didn't show up. So I made a complaint and they say, well, maybe you have to wait a little bit longer because, things happening. And the moment I said that, the bell started running again and there was my suitcase and he was complete open. My clothes were out, my boots were out. So somebody who was already contacted me in the plane, I spoke with her for 10 hours, a Catholic school teacher called Doris Kieran. She said, Frank, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Call somebody from customs. So we did. And from then on, to make the long story short, well, they found 30,000 tablets. That's what I said. Till now, 26 years later, I never seen one tablet. So I had to trust that they were there. But
you mean pills?
There's a whole
Are you
story.
talking about
There's
tablets like pills?
Yeah, like
drugs.
It's called ecstasy.
Oh, yes, okay.
It's called ecstasy, 30,000, and that's really funny because when you go to the customs and you check in your suitcase and you have only a little small bottle of something in your suitcase, they already stop you. So how is it possible that there were 30,000, like 6 kilos, when I checked in? So for me, that's always something I'm really curious about. How is it possible that we are stopped if we have a bottle like this and that 30,000 tablets goes into the plane? So I think it's really, really, it's a mystery. And nobody gives me the answers, but I have to do with what I know now. And I know now exactly what happened, but not then.
How old were you, Frank?
Sorry?
How old were you when you got caught with your suitcase?
37.
37. I mean,
37.
that's just the age when we're really, oh, for me anyhow, and I think a lot of people, it's almost that 35-ish age when we start to realize there's something more. You know, we've been, and we actually open up and start to begin to know ourselves as our own person, as an adult. And so that's a very, very critical time.
It was.
And,
It was
and you
really.
got caught, but you hadn't done it.
No, I didn't. I did not have done it. But it's so strange to say this because, yeah, we will come there. But going to prison, till 2.5 years ago, I always started that I was put innocent in prison. And Sandra, I'm gonna make a confession to you. I was guilty as hell.
What?
I was guilty as hell that I went to prison. Not for the charges they charged me with, but I give them the chance to put me in a prison.
Wow. Just say
And
that one more time, Frank. You gave them the chance to put you in prison?
yeah, I give them a chance to be, when I was not myself. And my story was complete all over the place. I didn't know who I was. I was running from everything. I was on sick leave. I was on the wrong medication. They all proved it. All psychiatrists came. All testified. And I had nothing to do with it. And blah, 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 blah. But still, I made the decision to run away from people who were saying, Frank, stop. Stop. You have to stop now. Stop. Listen. But I was Frank. I knew it all. I would come out of this one way or the other. Well, I did. Well, I did. But they,
Oh, dear.
I think now, and it's also a confession I made for the first time in my life in an interview, I think that was the best thing that could have happened to me. That judge, I hated this judge from the bottom of my heart. And all the juries, I wish them the worst thing in the world. But I can only say now, they made the right choice. They made the right choice to stop me and look at myself in prison with the door closed.
Wow. You know that it really is very important for me to hear that, because I'm not locked up. And yet I say to the guys, like, stop it. Stop it. Well, I'll change when I get out. I'll do that when you might not get out. I might not get home tonight. I might be killed on the highway driving down here to visit you guys. Stop it. You bloom where you're planted and you're here now. So grab everything you can grab. And I have a Toastmasters club there. Now they're up to 50 members. I mean, even through COVID, they stayed together. And they recognize the value of understanding how to behave in society. And that's what Toastmasters brings. And I do alternatives to violence. And for them to be able to get down into their heart. I remember one great big guy. I mean, he was kind of the double size of the biggest biker you'd see. And tattooed all over. I have no idea what his name is, so I can't give anything away. But when we'd gone around the circle the one time, he was sitting there with his head down and his head in his hands, and he was just vibrating. And because we get into a lot of emotional stuff, even though we don't do the therapy, we're not therapists. And he was just so touched. He was deeply touched, and the insight came in where he said, we might be broken, but we ain't useless. And that I never forgot. This great big guy, tattooed, huge, in tears, to come to the realization we might be broken, but we ain't useless, because there's life there. And when I see those transformations inside a prison, it blows my mind. And here you're saying the same thing as some of them said. You know, they said it on their shorter terms. I mean, the guys that are there 35 and 40 and 42 years now, Like, come on. They've learned their lesson. I think we're wasting a lot of money keeping some of them in there. But anyhow, Frank, 4 years and how many? 3 months?
3 months. Yeah.
4 years and 3 months. What happened to you there that transformed you?
Well, it's funny. I posted just a post with a picture from Barrymore Prison, and that gate says, "Let time serve you."
Ah,
I seen that picture now 3 years ago for the first time. Because of course I was inside, so I never looked at the gate picture was in front of it, because I never stay in front of it, because they drive you in. So, but now I can imagine that time really served me over there. It served me to find out that if they let me go, if that door opens again, where will I be? What will I do? Because, Sandra, the moment they let me out, the 10th of August, the day the Olympics started, 2000, the day of the Olympics in Sydney, and I was in Sydney, they let me out, and they had to get me out of the country as quick as possible, because the whole area would be closed because of the opening of the Olympics. And I get goosebumps telling you this now, because
yeah. I'm
that's,
getting goosebumps listening.
yeah, that was so beautiful, because I didn't know that gonna let me out that day. And it was a complete surprise. And all my family had 24 hours to be ready for Frank to arrive at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam to be sent home. And I said, "What are you going to do with me? Are you going to throw me out of a plane? Or, what's happening? Normally they bring you to another cell or to another jail. They kick you around and do whatever they want with you. But this time they say, 'You deserve this so much, Frank. Get out and be the gift you were always meant to be. You don't belong here.'" And that were the last words of the guard who let me out, and
Wow.
who supported me to the airport. And guess what, Sandra? I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm telling you anyway. I came in the plane. The plane was already on the runway to go into the air. And they had to bring me quickly inside that plane. And I still had my shirt on with 266926. 266926. And the moment I came in, they gave me a yellow shirt. And I still have the yellow shirt 26 years
I'll
later.
bet you.
I have this yellow shirt. They gave me a yellow shirt to put over it and to hide it. But there was a little girl, and I'm not sure if I drink this or not. But she said, "Are you a prisoner?" And I said, "Nothing," because her mother said, "Yes, he was, but they had the wrong one, so they let him out." And the little girl said, "That's not fair. Take a rest, take a drink, and sleep."
Oh my goodness.
And I really want to know if this girl, if I could ever find this girl, because it's in the book. It's one of the most beautiful things, because there was no place for me. So they let me sit where the stewards sit to make a space for me to go into the plane. And there was a free space, but they have to move people and blah, 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 blah. But they wanted to go up. They wanted to start. So they let me sit where the stewards were sitting. And when the plane was in the air, they arranged a beautiful space for me where I could sit, sleep, and I slept for probably 20 hours in that plane. And they wake me up for food, but it went so quickly because I slept the whole trip, probably because I was really tired.
That always, I mean, inmates, when I'm in prison, I get to see such a microcosm of society, because it's no different than us out here in the world. It's just crammed in. There's all those personalities and all those complexities. And it just blows my mind how they have to just do as they're told on a dime, and they're moved to a different cell, or they're moved to a different prison, or they're released, and nobody tells them. I mean, if they have 2 or 3 days notice, that's amazing, and maybe not safe, who knows. Emotions in prison, I just find are extreme compared to what we have out here, because they're cramped into a space. It's like you and I, if we're crammed into a smaller and smaller space, and you know, if you get 12 people in the elevator instead of 1 or 2, you know, you start getting invaded. And so when that space tightens up, emotions go up, or tension builds, and control has to come into ourselves
Oh,
in
I can
very
really.
subtle ways, you know, very subtle. We don't notice it, but that's what actually is happening. And so you've got this compressed emotion, compressed all kinds of personalities pressed together, and they somehow earned their way in there.
Yeah, and I see it maybe differently, but every day, 24 hours, you're on alert. You're
Hmm.
24 hours on alert. You're
Yeah.
on suicide watch. Every moment you turn around, every step you do, something can happen that will change the course of your life. And I was in Goulburn prison, and Goulburn prison, when you look it up, is called the Killing Fields.
Ah, I wondered which kind of a prison.
The Killing Fields. And oh my God, you know, when you have no tattoos, when you look like um, a teacher, and you work on yourself, you work on computers, you must be a pedophile. You must be a pedophile. And
Mm,
prisoners hate pedophiles. So if
yes.
you have no tattoos, you have glasses, and you sit behind books and everything because you're studying the way to get out. No, 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 no. They don't see it differently. You must be something who did something with children. And I was looked at like a pedophile all the time. And that's the story is so crazy because in prison, I caught one of the biggest pedophiles in Australia, one of the biggest mysteries in Australia. I was the one who caught this guy out, and I'm now a hero. And they give me a lot of money because I caught this guy out, and that's
While you were in
crazy for
prison?
me.
While you were in prison?
I was in prison, and I made contact during a Bible class with somebody, and in that Bible class, the predicator, the pastor told us, if you come clean with everything you've done, God will always take you back. But this was hurting this guy. He thought, oh my God, if I tell everything I've done, I will never let out. So, but then he thought, if I tell it Frank, I come clean. But Frank couldn't handle it and told it to a psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist went to the police, and the police went to him, and domino effect. And then I was a hero without knowing I was a hero. Because am I a hero? I don't have a clue if I'm a hero. But 60 Minutes in Australia made a beautiful portrait of that incident. Not for me, but for their own case, for the case of Samantha Knight and the killer of Samantha Knight. And all the things they promised me, they didn't do anything for me. But that's they didn't even give me money. But everybody loved me from that moment on because that guy had to be caught, and he is caught, and still they let him out, and he's back again, and he did 33 years, and now he's back again, and they tried to interview me every time again and again and again. But I'm living a new story, Sandra. So I don't want it anymore. I
Yeah.
don't want to be in that story. I want to be in my own story. And of course, that part is a prison part. And I think now the part where I found out that living in a prison with the door closed gave me security, gave me time to really think and reflect. And the moment I let my door out, oh my God, I was in panic. You don't want to know how much panic it was there, because I had no food for every 4 or 5 hours anymore. I had no place to sleep anymore. I had no money. I had nothing. I had no clothes. I had nothing. So they put you on the street and that's it.
That is the opening to our next interview, because that would take us out of the prison and outside, and why so many come back.
Because they love it. They
They
get
don't
used
love
to
it,
it.
but they don't know how to survive out there anymore. It's crazy. But I'm just
It
kind of
is.
keeping an eye on the time, and there's so many areas. I mean, I would really like to drill down into what was that transformation in the prison, and what did you have to? I mean, you gave us one example now of the Bible group and the pedophile, but there's so many amazing stories of the transformation that was occurring inside and how long it took. And then the whole idea of getting out with nothing. I mean, suicide rates are very high for inmates that get out and they have no place to go, no friends, you can't get a job, you have to disclose to people. Yeah, I know. So I don't want to go there right now, because this is so delicious, Frank. I don't get to talk about prison much. Not many people.
You're the first one too, Sandra. You're the first one who asked me about prison.
Oh,
I
and
talk
I would
about
not have
so many
known.
things.
I would not know to do that, except that I've been living in prison for
But
17
it's
years.
fine, because I'm fine, because I found out that the last 2 years in prison were a lifesaver for me. Were really, when I came to jail, I was already suicidal, and as a reward of trying to make an end of that life, they give me a reward, 11 years prison. And that was the reward of trying to leave this world. So they give me as a thank you, and they give me 11 years more hell. And, I deserved it.
Hold that thought right there, Frank. Hold that thought. We're going to go into this again. I just want to scoot back to the article here a little bit, because now you've had a little bit of an idea of Sandra's prison and Frank's prison. And that's what we wanted to explore. I want to read this little quote that I took from you, Frank, and then we're going to just talk very briefly about prison on the outside. Mm-hmm. Now that we're out of prison, what's that about? So, quote from Frank: "For me, as being high sensitive, writing this book was a lot of tears and mixed emotions, but I had to finish this book and share my message. I missed all my deadlines, and yet my publisher forgave me. It was against all odds that I would ever finish this journey, but I did. And now I will be proud. This book is aimed to helping others to grow, and I hope and pray that my incredible story," I love that you own your incredible story. That's what both of us teach people to do. Own my incredible story will be the key to unlocking the doors for everybody who is not living their dream, that dream that fits you, and that dream that picked you. We all have the dream. We can awaken from the bad dreams, the nightmares, and we can create our new dreams, that dream that fits you and picked you. It's such a beautiful way to come to a closing. But I recently did a little expose on comfort zones, which happened by accident in my discussion group, because every Monday at noon we have a mind shift discussion group. We go deep. It's amazing. I hope you come sometime, Frank. But it's really amazing. And we got talking and studying from Neville Goddard about the comfort zone. And then we recognized, well, here's the comfort zone. I'm not supposed to talk with my lips covered for people that need to be able to see my lips. There's our comfort zone. And why we call it comfort is because it feels safe. It's what we know. And we might not want to go back to that life, but here's what we know. We can't go over to this life because here's what we know. Comfort zones are safe. We know what to expect. But something niggles in us and says, crap, that can't be all there is. There must be something else. But if I go and explore, tap, 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 put me back here. Tap, tap, tap. Oh, let's just take a little step. Let's take a little step. Tap, 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 tap. Knock, knock, knock. Woo, I love it out here. The comfort zone is not safe and secure. The comfort zone is the place we get to explode instead of imploding on ourselves. The comfort zone. I have discovered that the comfort zone is our own prison. Why? Because somebody's going to put you some food every 5 hours. You've got a roof over your head. You might even have a television. You certainly can have some books. I mean, you're not going to be distracted because there's not a lot of stuff there. But tap, tap, tap. And who are you knocking on the door from? Who's your jailer? Yourself. There we are in our comfort zone. The door is wide open. We're keeping it guarded. How are we out here any different than the inmates in prison?
We're not.
Except we're keeping ourselves guarded and locked up. So I hope that Frank and I have made the point today that we choose how we're going to be no matter where we are. And we can break out of it and go over here.
That's why the book.
Break. Yes, so your book is backwards there, but
No, but that's why the book is called Trapped in a Dream.
Yeah, hold it up for a second. Hold it up. Trapped in a dream. And the rest
Never lose your drive.
Never lose your drive. It's showing up backwards here, but I'm hoping it's okay for everybody else.
And the subtitle number 2 is because you are not meant to resign from life without living your dream life.
Beautiful way to finish this today, Frank. I love it. I am just thrilled, and I do hope you'll come back again.
Of course, because we know each other so much, and it's so good, and it's so good to listen to the way you present yourself, the way, to be honest, I learned so much from it. It's so like bringing your things with music. It's like, sometimes you do it with Green Green Grass of Home with Tom Jones, and sometimes you do it with rah, rah, rah. And it's so much fun if you go with the music and be yourself and talk about yourself and be open, because that's what the world needs. People to be open. And when you're open and positive enough, you will come out and be the gift you were always meant to be. You will push that door open and enjoy all the beautiful things that life is waiting for you, the things that belongs to you.
Mm. And we can give it just because we have it, and we take what belongs to us without hurting anybody. That's the only other prevalent, as long as we're not harming anyone. And
I'm so glad that when they found me and they put me in prison, I was really looking at what did I do wrong? Did I really hurt somebody? Because maybe in my state, because I was so mentally unstable, I could have done so much worse things to me. But guess what? I only brought 30,000 tablets, and that I gave them to the customs. So
yeah, you have them.
I give them away. 2.5 million. I give them to them, so it was not mine. So you can have it. Yeah, I'm making jokes about it now, Sandra. But for a long time, it was killing me. But now...
And the beauty, we're laughing and making jokes about it now, but that humor is reality. And the way to burst that boil and lance that sore is to let the truth come out and then look at the nonsense. Because my thing is that life is a game. I totally get that. Like Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage and each of us are actors. And when we start to accept that we're just acting in here, I mean, would I have ever called myself an interviewer years ago? Would never have crossed my mind. Would I not? And you a speaker? I would have had a series of questions and been very teachery and interview you. And Frank, when did you go to prison? That's all crap to me. I want to know. And the curiosity. And you're so open to the same curiosity and joy of living that I just really want to thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart, Frank. And we'll be back again.
You're so
Blessings,
welcome.
everyone. Frank Soonius, Trapped in a Dream.
You're so welcome. Thank you.